Well, you know, you saw from his balloon when he stepped out on the platform, you know, the curvature of the Earth. Yeah, it looked very obvious. Oh, everybody pointed it and said, "Oh, look, there's a curvature." But when you actually looked at the ground, when you looked at the Earth, well, it was New Mexico. That's where he jumped. The whole Earth that you saw there was New Mexico. So if that was a curvature, the Earth must be very, very small indeed, and New Mexico must take up a huge part of it. Yeah, it was a fisheye lens to curve that, to make that curve. And when he jumped, it took, I think it took him like 2 hours to get to that height. Yeah, he went straight up. In that 2 hours, the Earth should have rotated away quite a distance. But I think he only landed something like 70 kilometers away from where he sort of went up in the first place. And that can be, you know, attributed to the wind. You know, so no, I mean that there's no proof whatsoever. There is so much to this. As I said, if you start looking and asking questions about the very basic things, you'll find that the answers you were given as a child just do not make sense. So the idea there is that it must be a globe because you know, the sun. If the sun's here, then it's got to be dark on the other side. Well, the thing about the sun is that we're told it's 93 million miles away. It's not. It's actually something around 3,000 miles away and about 34 miles across. That might sound really crazy, but if you look at look out on a day that's got broken cloud, you'll see that the sun rays will come out at an angle. Most people have seen this. The rays come down at angles. If the sun was 93 million miles away, then all the light will be coming parallel. So if you imagine, there's no way to show 93 million miles, but something way, way over there, all the light that reaches this globe will be parallel. There's no way that light can come that far and spread out like that. Now, if you follow those light rays, you'll see exactly where the sun is. And as I said, it works out to be about 3,100 miles. Now, if that's the case, and the sun is circling over this flat plane, yeah, its light range is limited. So it's illuminating the part of the Earth it's like over at the moment. So, say over Europe, it might, or over South America there, it's over there. Well, Australia's going to be in the dark because the sun isn't going to throw enough light to illuminate Australia. Yeah. Now, most people say, well, I see the sun rise and set. How can that be if it's just going round in a circle? Well, that's perspective again. If you actually see video of the sun coming up and going down, many times you'll see that the sun starts off as it's coming up very, very tiny, and it gets bigger as it gets closer to midday and then gets smaller again. It's literally that effect of perspective, you know, with some things above you, like the ceiling in a hallway, yeah, as it goes further away, it will seem to sink down towards the horizon until it disappears beyond the limit of your sight. And that's all you're seeing. You're seeing literally the sun circling overhead, but seeming to set. There was a team in California that launched a rocket 75 miles up. And you can find this video on YouTube. It's difficult to watch because the cameras, there were 7 cameras on this rocket, and it was spinning as it went up, so it's very, let's say, difficult to watch. But this chap, Refi, studied this video meticulously, looking for some kind of mistake or some kind of evidence, and he realized that he could see the moon. So he went online to a website called timeanddate.com, where it will show you graphically where the moon and sun is at any time on any day. And he did a bit of detective work to find out exactly when the rocket was fired. and found that the moon should have been on the other side of the planet, over Australia. Now, the rocket was 75 miles up and it could see the moon, but anybody down on the ground wouldn't be able to see it. But the point is that if the moon was over Australia, on the other side of it would be on the other side of the planet, which is, okay, there. So down there on the other side of the planet, and the rocket went up here. So there's no way that rocket should have been able to see the moon on the other side of the planet. If you watch the trajectory of the space shuttle, it doesn't go straight up. It always goes in a curve and out to sea. The point is that they actually go horizontal. The space shuttle goes horizontal. It never goes any further up. It goes horizontal, very, very low down in the atmosphere, because it drops its external tank while it's still in the atmosphere. So, you know, it's still in the atmosphere while it's horizontal, so it never gets any higher, and it goes out of sight, not because it goes too high, because it goes too far downrange. And it seems that nobody's ever on the space shuttle, and the proof of that is the Challenger disaster. In, I believe it's 1986, the Challenger exploded just after takeoff and killed 7 astronauts. But it turns out that 6 of the astronauts are still alive, and most of them are using their original names. And you can find pictures of them. They're using the same names, and they're doing ordinary jobs now. Teachers, lecturers, lawyers, whatever. But they're still alive. I think it's a mock-up. I think it's an empty shell, and literally just dishes in the sea, out of sight. And they have a plane that's mocked up to look like a space shuttle, and you can see whenever the space shuttle lands, you can hear it. It's a loud jet engine. You watch any video of the space shuttle landing, you can tell it's a jet engine. It's a jet-powered aircraft. That's it. It's not a glider. In my video, I show you a glider, how that seems, and then I show you the space shuttle, and yeah, it's not a glider. It's an aircraft, and that's what they're fooling us. They're taking billions of dollars in and giving us images and fake planes for that 10 billion, you know, however many billions of dollars it is. That you've got the external tank and the space shuttle. Yeah, it's like horizontal at this point, and then they drop the tank. Okay, now the space shuttle isn't powered at this point because the tank has all the fuel.
Yes.
Okay, so when the engine stops, the tank is dropped. Basically, the space shuttle and tank should follow the same path because neither of them are powered. They should both fall in the same way. Now, because the tank has all the fuel, those pods on the back of the space shuttle aren't fuel tanks. They have a very, very small amount of fuel in there for orbital manoeuvring. But from this point, which again is still in the Earth's atmosphere, because the tank, is falling there, it now has to go from there into orbit. They haven't got the fuel there to insert it into orbit. Disney and NASA have worked very closely together. Disney worked with NASA on the moon project. Yeah, they filmed it so that it would be entertaining for the masses. Yeah, and they're still working with NASA. I absolutely believe that Stanley Kubrick, filmed the moon landing. He left a few clues just to say, so that
like Michelangelo.
Yeah, so that we eventually would know that this was his work. Yeah, I did this. It's a joke. It was meant to fool people in 1960s. So you got like clear footprints, but yet you don't have an impression where the pads of the lunar lander were. or a blast crater where the engines were blasting downwards. And also, the camera followed the capsule straight up, right? And it followed it very precisely, right? And it stopped when it started to pitch over, right? Now, NASA says, oh, we did it remotely. Well, there was a 2 or 3 second delay between sending signals and the camera starting to respond, and then another couple of seconds for them to see what's happened. So it's next to impossible to get that sort of accuracy with that kind of, and it's only done once. I mean, they can't sort of keep doing it over and get it right. They do it once and they got it right the first time. So no, it's either they left an astronaut on the moon to film them, or it was fake. It was fake. It was absolutely fake. There's not too many people involved in this. I mean, NASA controls space as such. The other agencies, agencies have popped up, but literally it's a money-making scheme. NASA makes, hundreds of billions of dollars a year.
Dobra, a Rusy...
Okay. The Russians, okay, they're getting in on the act as well. They make money from this. And have you seen the imagery that they put out? The Chinese have put out, or I think it was the Japanese that put out images of Earth from the moon, and it looks even more fake than NASA's ones. It's a money-making scheme, and they're all joining the bandwagon. But that isn't the first thing that's been hidden over the years. I mean, we're all driving petrol cars because 100 years ago, the Rockefeller family basically cornered the market on oil, and the car industry was going electric. So, all cars would have been electric from the get-go, but they basically forced everybody to use petrol cars, and have hidden this secret. And literally, we could be running around in electric cars that have unlimited mileage by now, but we're still using these 100-year-old machines, dirty machines, because of a secret that's been kept. It's easy. If everybody's been trained into believing that this is real, right? And there's space, and it's within our interest to explore space and go to the moon, go to Mars. Yeah, people will pay for it, and they're making billions. And yeah, there's more to it, because I believe there's a big deception coming, and it's to do with aliens, because now since Roswell, 1947. That was the first time anybody had ever understood the idea of aliens. But since then, we've been bombarded with science fiction and the idea of aliens. And most people believe there are aliens out there. So they've prepared us for an alien invasion or an alien saviour. And I think the flat Earth came along at the right moment to educate people, to make people believe or understand that we've been lied to. And if you know, as I know in my heart now, that is real and this isn't, I will not be fooled by aliens coming, because there are no aliens. There's no space. Yeah, it's all fantasy by Disney and NASA. Well, the Bible has a very, very clear view of what this place is, and it matches that place more than it matches this. Okay, and what it says is the great deep is under it, just water. It's just deep water, and above the firmament is water. And it says in Genesis that he separated the water below from the water above, and made a space. And then made dry land appear out of the water. So what's under the flat Earth? Well, it's water, and it just goes on. Again, I don't know for sure, because I've not been under there, I don't know what's past the outside of, or the you know, the first few hundred miles of Antarctica. But everything I've seen over the last year and a half tells me that that is true and this isn't. And I'm starting to believe and trust my intuition about this. Nobody has actually really gone all the way across Antarctica. Yeah. Now there are millionaires out there who could, you know, assemble the resources to make an expedition and completely, you know, go across and chart Antarctica and make a name for themselves, being the first person to do that. Yeah. But nobody ever does. One thing I was going to say, which is slightly totally off topic, but the topic I really want to go to is that people, ordinary people, have become scientists through this. Okay, you know, the science community is ignoring a lot of the things that we're looking at, and so normal people are going out and doing experiments. And one of the experiments has turned up an amazing fact that we've not been told, and it destroys the whole idea of this heliocentric system. And that is the moon. If you get a piece of card, put it on the floor, and sort of you put another piece of card to act as a barrier for the moonlight. So you have the moon above, card on the floor, and a piece of card in front to shield half of the card. Yeah. Now a lot of people have these laser thermometers. Now you can actually measure the temperature of the moonlight next to the temperature of the shade of the moonlight, and you'll find the moonlight is colder than the shade, the opposite from the sun. So the moon is throwing out its own light, and that light is the opposite from the sun. Now, that tells you that it's not reflecting the sun's light. It's producing its own, and its light is different from the sun's. So, you know, the scientific community have not told us this, yeah, because they won't tell us this because it destroys this idea that the sun is, you know, is lighting up the moon. This world is very different from what most people think it is. There are very powerful people who essentially rule this world right now, and the ordinary person is a slave in this world, and slaves aren't educated. You know, they're taught what they need to, or you know, they need to know. That's it. They're not taught truth. They're taught what they need to know, and so you're taught enough so that you can, you know, do the paperwork and operate the machinery, but you're not meant to know what's really going on, because that's the power they have over us. They know what's going on, what, you know, how this world works. We don't, so they can control us. One of the things about slavery is the slaves weren't freed. They were never freed. When the 14th Amendment or 13th Amendment, I can't remember which one, actually made everybody a slave. If you're a citizen of a country, you're a slave. That's what a citizen is. So they literally extended the slavery to everybody and made it an open prison, and that's where everybody in the world lives now. We're slaves to very powerful masters. We don't see bars. No. Yeah? The bars are the borders of the country. Mm-hmm. Right? You have to use a pass to get out. And they'll let you out if you show them your pass, yeah. And sometimes they won't let you out. You know, as I was coming here, I was lining up to go on the plane, and somebody in front of me was told, "No, you can't fly. They found something in your bag, so you can't fly today." So, you know, we have, as I said, we have natural rights to travel anywhere on this earth. We were born on this earth. We have the right to travel anywhere, but our masters have kept us in small, open prisons that you need to get permission to move around. This idea that, billions of years ago, nothing exploded and then everything came out of that nothingness, ridiculous. But they try to make you believe that, that the idea that a supreme being, a creator, created this is ridiculous compared to that idea. I mean, if you look at it objectively, I would lean towards a creator because, there's so much that points to, the fingerprint of a creator. But it's no less ridiculous than nothing exploding and becoming something. In my opinion, the Big Bang theory and the theory of evolution and the ball Earth theory are all interlinked, and they're all there to make us feel as though we're insignificant. We're small, tiny,
miniature,
unimportant pieces of slime crawling around on a speck of dust in an infinite universe. If that's true, and there's no purpose, there's no meaning to anything, then our owners can do whatever they want with us. Then, this is all accidental, so food can be genetically modified because it's imperfect. We can be modified because we're imperfect. If we realize that this is the universe and
complete universe.
Yes, this system is is everything. Everything that NASA has put out is CGI, is fake. Okay, people say, I think you mentioned it. If you look out into the universe, you see that the moon is round, spherical, and the planets are spherical, and so why are we flat? Well, how do you know that the planets and the stars are spherical? All you get is, if you look for a telescope, you see a flat disk. If you think you see a spherical shape there, well, it needs two eyes to resolve 3D. If you're looking for a telescope, you can't see anything in 3D. It's going to be flat anyway. So all you see is a flat blob of light. It's only NASA that's given you these beautiful pictures of so-called planets and stars. Yeah. So it's a fallacy to say, well, everything else out there is spherical, so we must be. How this is special. So why? It's like saying a basketball is round, so why isn't the court round? It's a fallacy. So this idea of a ball Earth, theory of evolution, the Big Bang, is all about making us feel nothing so that we can be used. If everybody realized how special we all are, how unique every single life is, then this whole world would change overnight. We wouldn't allow ourselves to be used by this cabal. We wouldn't allow this planet to be destroyed, because they're destroying it because, it's just an accidental planet, one of millions. We've found other Earths. Eventually, if this one gets too messed up, we'll go to another one. No, this is it. So if we all realise that, then we wouldn't allow all these things that are going on. It's all about control. There are a small group of people who want to control the world, and because there's so many of us out there, they can't control us directly. They can't, this small group of people can't, come round to all of us and control us directly. So they must use our own minds, our own hearts and minds against ourselves. And this is what they've done. They've educated us into this world, into this globe spinning, heliocentric Big Bang evolution world, which makes us nothing. This is amazing because when I first started looking, it was about a year and a half ago, I looked on YouTube and there were maybe about 100 videos, not even that probably, and nobody was talking about it, right? And then over 2015, it exploded. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of people looking at flat Earth now. And what happens is that you'll watch something or read something, and something will strike a chord in your mind, and you'll think, yeah, I've always wondered that. And what will happen is you will start feverishly researching. I mean, what happened to me was, as soon as I got that, I spent every waking hour looking for things and testing things, and this seems to be replicated with thousands of people around the world who suddenly come into this. They start, researching and getting a passion for this, because this is what I think, it's the truth, and we recognise the truth when we hear it, and we feel it, and this I believe has come at the exact right time, so that we awaken to what's going on in the world. Nothing else, 9/11 even hasn't awoken people, right? To this extent, For me, I've been an atheist for 40 years. From the age of 13, I didn't want anything to do with God and Bibles and whatever and religions. And now I know for a fact there is a creator. I've seen his fingerprint, not just with the flat earth. Everything I've done in the last 5 or 10 years has led me to see that there is a creator now. And there's a great many people out there who have had exactly the same revelation as I have. And it is. I'm now following the commandments and trying to be the best human being that I can be, because I think it was a guy called Kent Hovind who said there are only two possibilities. Either there is a God or there isn't. And both of them are terrifying.
Yeah.
If there isn't a God, then nobody's in control. We're hurtling through space, and there's no plan, and there's no nothing, and that's terrifying. If there is a God, then we'd better find out who he is and what he wants and do exactly what he says. And it turns out that he gave us very specific instructions on how to live. And they're not rules as in laws that you must follow because or put you in prison if you don't. No, these are rules to live by, to make a harmonious world. Don't harm anyone, don't kill anybody, don't steal from people, don't covet people's items,
Don't lie.
Don't lie. I mean, these things are written in our hearts anyway, yeah? But we're in a society that legalises all of the 10 Commandments. The policemen and soldiers can kill. They're allowed to kill.
Politicians can lie.
They can lie.
They're lying all the time.
They're lying all the time. Police have been told that they are allowed to lie to try and get to catch somebody. Yeah, they're allowed to lie. Everything in the 10 Commandments is legalised in this society. That tells you who runs this society. Yeah. So yeah, this is a profound movement. I don't like using the word movement, but it's a profound shift in consciousness for people, because unlike any other topic that's come out in the last few years, this one has made people realise that they've been lied to.